Visión comunal, en contacto con las comunidades.
Venezuela in the news. News from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Headlines. Venezuela is leading Mercosur, UNASUR, and in September, the Non-Aligned Movement. The Supreme Court of Justice rejected the illegal and unconstitutional actions of the President of the Parliament. Venezuela signed economic agreements. Venezuela took over the pro-tempore presidency of the Southern Common Market, a trade group that represents the fifth largest economy of the planet. Currently, the Venezuelan nation also holds the chair of the Union of South American Nations, a body established in 2007 for political dialogue among its member states, mainly about the social and security areas. It is also expected in September for Venezuela to assume the temporal presidency of the Non-Aligned Movement, a group that brings together 120 nations. Never in history has one same country ever presided these three organizations at the same time. Minister of Foreign Affairs Delcy Rodriguez said that Venezuela will make its best efforts to guarantee the legality, institutionality, legitimacy, and performance of duties in this important South American integration bloc. The Bolivian President Evo Morales congratulated Venezuela's pro-tempore presidency of the Southern Common Market after Uruguay officially concluded its chairmanship of the economic bloc. Montevideo ended its period of rotative presidency in the Mercosur without Brazil or Paraguay accepting the transfer of the chair to Venezuela, member state that was up next according to the rules of the regional bloc. Uruguay highlighted that, quote, there are no legal grounds to prevent the handover of the pro-tempore presidency to Venezuela. The Venezuelan Attorney General's office rejected the illegal actions of the President of the Parliament, Henry Ramos Ayub, who swore in 3 deputies despite the ruling of the Supreme Court of Justice. Attorney General Reinaldo Muñoz denounced the swearing in of Julio Igarza, Nirma Guarulla, and Romel Guzamana as an unconstitutional action that cannot be accepted or approved by the public administration entities, for there are investigations against these 3 citizens for electoral fraud and other violations. Muñoz alerted that defying a judicial order entails penal and civil responsibility that cannot be evaded, invoking immunity for a circumstantial investor. The Supreme Court is in the stage of gathering of evidence. Muñoz affirmed that never in history, not even in times of dictatorships, has a public institution interfered so shamelessly in the free movement of justice in Venezuela.
Venezuela in the news.
Former Vice President of Venezuela, José Vicente Rangel, stated that only the political dialogue can save the Southern American country from the violence and the social destabilization in the middle of the current economic difficulties. Rangel assured that the responsibility of the dialogue is in every one of the political actors, and it must be of interest to all of the Venezuelans. He affirmed that it is a step that must be given with sanity and commitment, for there is no other civilized way to lead back the nation on the path to progress and the individual and collective achievement. In regards to this, Rangel criticized the rejection to dialogue held by the Venezuelan opposition, which disregards the mediation of the Union of South American Nations, convened by the Venezuelan government for dialogue in 5 occasions. The governments of Venezuela and Panama signed agreements of economic cooperation that include the export of 16,120 tons of basic goods from Panama to Venezuela. The Venezuelan Minister for Industry and Trade, Miguel Pérez Abad, announced that this will help to overcome the country's economic difficulties. The announcement was given one day after the presidents of Russian oil company Rosneft, Igor Sechin, and Petróleos de Venezuela, Eulogio del Pino, signed a joint investment agreement of over $20 billion in Venezuela.
News from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Headlines. Venezuela is leading Mercosur, UNASUR, and in September, the Non-Aligned Movement. The Supreme Court of Justice rejected the illegal and unconstitutional actions of the President of the Parliament. Venezuela signed economic agreements.
Venezuela in the news. News from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Visión comunal, en contacto con las comunidades.